What's up, guys? Andrew Cooper here with Fantasy Alarm, another Coop Scoops, and we are on our quest to try and win $1 million via Underdog Fantasy. Yes, if you're not signed up yet, use promo code ALARM. They'll match up to $100 in bonus credits. Then you're in the game. Right now, Best Ball Mania is open. Winner gets $2 million. Second place, $1 million. If you just win the regular season, weeks 1 through 14, they'll give you $1 million. A lot of ways to win, $10 million prize pool. I'm getting leagues in there, and I'm trying to give you advice that's going to help you win. We've already looked at quarterbacks. We've looked at tight ends. Now it's time to look at running backs. So what I'm trying to do with this video is talk to you about a little bit about structure and a little bit about balance, and we can figure out how we can make more decisive picks at the end of our draft based on what we do at the beginning, right? So in these leagues, you want to have between 4 and 7 running backs. We know that because we've seen the historic numbers. I've written an article all about roster composition. Check that out if you haven't. But that's where you want to live, right? Guy like the dude that came in second last year, I'm looking at his roster. He only drafted 4 running backs. He drafted Zeke, Joe Mixon, Trey Sermon, and Devin Singletary. And what he got out of those guys was the right balance. Zeke, not a super sexy pick, but he provided a floor. He was in his lineup 15 of 18 weeks. Same with Joe Mixon. Devin Singletary was the unlikely spike week guy. He was the hero. He came down the stretch. He had 6 touchdowns over the last 4 games. So that's what you want to try and visualize with your roster. You want a good combination of safe guys so that you're not going to have a 0 at one of your running back spots during the season in any week. And then you want to have spike week guys that you can just have those monster weeks and kind of go off for you. So what I'm going to do is give you 2 safe guys that you can draft late. We know, what the top 24 guys are, the running back 1s and 2s. So no really reason for us to get into those. We're going to talk about guys only drafted outside of that. So I'm going to give you 2 safe guys you can take later. They'll give you a floor. And then 2 upside guys you can take later. That'll give you a bit of a spike. And, these are just guys I like. You can think about yourself, what guys you might like later. And then that way you can complement what you draft earlier in the draft. So beginning of the draft, let's say we're taking best available, building our core. Let's say we take a lot of wide receivers, right? And then we get to the middle. We're like, you know what? I'm going to go for it here. I'm going to take risky upside guys. I'm going to take a guy like J.K. Dobbins that can break off big runs, or I'm going to take a Breece Hall, unknown rookie, or Travis Etienne, who essentially is unknown because we haven't seen him play yet, right? So these guys are super high risk, high reward. They could have monster spike weeks, but we can't really count on them every week. Later on, what we do is we kind of try and cancel that out by taking guys that have nice floor, right? So a perfect example would be RB36, Melvin Gordon. Back end RB3 is where he's coming off the board. That's going to change, but right now you can get him at a discount. Javonte Williams just came out and said, our plan is to do what we did last year. That worked for us. We want to win games. That's great news for Melvin, bad news for Javonte, right? Last year, they split right down the middle. I wrote an article on this already, so not going to get too deep into it. You can just search Andrew Cooper, Melvin Gordon article. It's up there. And essentially, Melvin Gordon, despite missing 1 game, actually had more points per game than Javonte, 12.2 to 12.1. Melvin, in the games where both guys played, which is all but 1 game, he played 296 pass plays. Javonte played 294. They split it right down the middle. If they do that again, Melvin should provide a nice floor. You can get him at RB36 off the board, right? If you have super high risk guys early, perfect guy to throw in there, and just always know you're going to have somebody that can slide in your RB2 slot. If Melvin doesn't crack your lineup any week, that's a good thing. That means the guys you drafted early are going off, right? So a little deeper in the draft, a lot deeper. Here's a guy that a lot of people are sleeping on because he doesn't have a super high ceiling and he's not a super sexy pick. But this guy, I guarantee with the last pick of your draft, can provide you a decent floor. That's James White. This is a guy that came out last year, caught 6 passes in both of the first 2 games, and then he got hurt, right? Leading up to that game where he got hurt, this guy caught a pass in every single game going back to the Raiders game in 2017. That's 58 straight games where this guy's caught a pass, and in 47 of those, he caught more than 1, right? This guy's the record for most receptions in a Super Bowl. He's finished as an RB7, and he started last year catching 6 balls in both games. They signed him. They brought him back. Brandon Bolden's gone. Last year, they had Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, and it's still bunch of targets right in the beginning. I mean, that's the kind of floor we're looking for. I mean, he's probably not going to have monster spike weeks, but we already drafted the spike week guys. Now we're going for the safe guys. That's how you kind of look at it and balance out what you're doing. You go for the high end guys early if you want and balance it out later. Now let's say we do the opposite. Let's say we come out and we draft Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones, and we know Nick Chubb's going to be splitting. We know Aaron Jones is going to be splitting, and there's kind of no reason for them to give Aaron Jones 30 carries in a blowout when they have A.J. Dillon. This isn't a situation where they just give it to Derrick Henry and beat up on the Jets and give it to him 33 times. He runs for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. Why wouldn't they, at best, give Aaron Jones 20 and give A.J. Dillon 15? But, you can count on him to keep the floor, but you need spike weeks later. So in that situation, I'd be willing to go and grab a guy like Miles Sanders, RB26. Can't really count on him. Been hurt every single year. When he does do well, drops like 130-yard rushing games, 120-yard rushing games like he did against Washington. When he does poorly, he disappears completely. But this is a guy who everyone thought was going to get replaced in the draft, or at least have them draft as supplemental back, and then they didn't do that. You know what I mean? They could have, but they didn't. This guy also has a career yards per carry of 5.1 yards. If you take all the guys that have had over 400 carries, it's basically Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Gus Edwards, oddly, is 3, and then tied at 4 is Aaron Jones and Miles Sanders. Why can't he have league-winning upside? They convinced Jason Kelce to come back. They convinced Lane Johnson to come back. That's the perfect kind of risky pick you can make if you've already made safe picks early, right? Now, let's say you're getting real deep in the draft and you're feeling pretty good, but at this point, it doesn't make sense to draft a James White. You've already got enough safety. You need just a little bit more spice, a little bit more pepper. Why not take Ty Davis Price? Now, he goes by Ty Davis Price, but in the app, he's going to be listed under Tyrion Davis Price, Tyiron. I say that because you might have to search it, because this guy is RB53, not even being drafted in most drafts, but he's a 3rd-round pick to the San Francisco 49ers. The key to that is this is one of the most hot hand offenses there's ever been. It's Kyle Hot Hand Shanahan, and when a guy goes off, he puts him in there, and that's it. He was not scared to start Elijah Mitchell, a 6th-round pick, over Trey Sermon, a 4th-round pick last year, right? Now, let's think about this situation. They still have Trent Williams, one of the best tackles in the league. They still have Alex Mack at center. They still have Matt McGlinchey. That line's going to be good, right? You have Elijah Mitchell, who got hurt on 3 different occasions last year. He missed weeks 3 and 4, came back, missed week 11, came back, missed weeks 14, 15, and 16. This guy, just barely 200 pounds, explosive player, but injury prone. You have Trey Sermon, who essentially got benched last year, right? Didn't really even play. They lost Raheem Mostert. Now they decide to use a 3rd-round pick on this guy. Why can't this guy be the player that gets the hot hand and is this year's Elijah Mitchell? I don't see why that couldn't happen. That's the kind of high-risk pick. If you already have safe guys, it's almost like who cares if he doesn't play? The guy last year, he took Trey Sermon with that same thought. Trey Sermon's got upside. Trey Sermon didn't even play. It's okay. He had safe guys, and he had another upside guy, right? So if you already have the safe guys, why not take a stab on this guy? Why not take a stab on Tyler Algier for the Falcons? Why not take a stab on Dameon Pierce, another rookie who could potentially start for the Texans? These are the things to think about, right? All right, guys, just keep that going. Shoot me some of your lineups that you put out on Underdog. I'd like to see them on Twitter at Coupe Fiasco. Hit me up. Show me what you guys are doing. Show me where you're getting these guys if you're getting them. And let's win $1 million. We've seen Millionaire Mike win $1 million on DraftKings. We've had a ton of guys win money on Prize Picks, on all these different things that we do. Why can't we be the guys that win $1 million on Underdog Fantasy? And then we spend the rest of our lives just doing fantasy and doing whatever and living lives of luxury. All right, guys? Good luck out there.